You're unlikely to get any attention if your design doesn't scream at the viewer. For the past few years, that appears to have been the unspoken rule in consumer products, particularly in the smartphone market, giving rise to sometimes eccentric and often impractical designs whose novelty wears off quickly. Like in the larger design field, there appears to be a growing counter-movement in the smartphone industry, with phone designs becoming more refined, less obnoxious, and, in some cases, almost minimalist. Having said that, there's still plenty of room to make a good first impression with a distinctive design that will quickly distinguish the phone from its competitors. That kind of delicate balancing act is easier said than done, so we take a close look at the new OPPO Find X6 Pro to see if it can do it with finesse and aplomb. Finding a good design that manages to enclose today's smartphone's growing camera sensors is a true test of ingenuity and craftsmanship. Some manufacturers appear to be content with simply slapping whatever design element is popular at the time, while others, thankfully, give the phone's second most important feature a lot more thought. It's difficult to hide the fact that your phone has multiple large lenses on the back, and OPPO appears to have decided to simply embrace that fact while presenting it in a more appealing manner. The Find X6 Pro is one of a growing number of phones with a large circular island on the back that houses the imaging sensors. In some ways, it isn't very space efficient because it takes up much more space than the sensors themselves. At the same time, it spreads out the circular form wider, making it less noticeable as a wart on an otherwise flat rectangular back. As we'll see later, it also improves the phone's balance. OPPO's use of a large circular camera design is also not by chance. It was designed to look like a camera lens from a traditional camera or DSLR, and even the smallest details were chosen with that in mind. The grooves on the aerospace-grade aluminum bezel around the lens are reminiscent of camera lens grips, and the orange dot on the bottom of the bezel is a nod to the alignment dot found on SLR cameras. Given how cameras have become a standard feature of smartphones, it's not surprising that some attempt to imitate them. The Find X6 Pro will be available in a variety of colorways, but the brown vegan leather variant will be the most eye-catching. However, the synthetic material does not cover the entire back of the phone, leaving some space for a metal-like glass surface at the top. This dual material design is also reminiscent of vintage cameras, which have a metal top and a different plastic or leather material for the rest of the body. The Find X6 Pro will also be available in black and green, with AG glass that has been polished to look and feel like metal on both. These days, high-end flagships are either too heavy, putting strain on your hand, or too light, causing anxiety that you will accidentally let go. The OPPO Find X6 Pro, with a 6.82-inch screen and a weight of 218 grams, happily straddles the middle ground and gives owners a sense of confidence when holding the phone in their hand. Aside from those figures, the phone's design has a few features that improve its ergonomics. The material on the phone's back, for example, improves grip, though this is mostly true for the brown vegan leather variant. The green and black glass models may be different, so it's a good thing OPPO includes protective cases in the box. Surprisingly, the vegan leather Find X6 Pro case mimics the phone's dual-tone design, despite being entirely made of TPU plastic. The phone's weight distribution is also improved by the large circular camera design. Rather than placing the thicker part of the chassis in a corner, placing it in the center and occupying nearly the entire width of the phone's back spreads the weight more evenly. It also means that the phone will not wobble on your desk or any other flat surface, and will be just as usable when laid down as when in your hand. When it comes to specifications, the OPPO Find X6 Pro has nothing to complain about. It's lightning fast and responsive, as you'd expect from a phone powered by a top-of-the-line Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor and 16 GB of RAM, the latter of which can be expanded slightly thanks to the virtual memory function. The same cannot be said for the internal storage, which in this review unit is a fixed 512 GB. There's a 5000 mAh battery that can charge from 0 to full in about 30 minutes thanks to 100-watt SuperVOOC technology. Wireless charging is no less impressive, with a 50-watt AirVOOC doing the same job in under an hour. When it comes to the front of the phone, the 120Hz 2K AMOLED screen is the star, and it's said to be one of the brightest panels on the market. Your results may vary depending on your settings and environmental factors, but it's definitely vibrant and crisp in almost any lighting condition. The display's curved edges may appear to be a holdover from a previous generation, especially since many flagships are now flat on almost all sides. The OPPO Find X6 Pro's signature feature is its cameras, as the phone's design makes clear. While almost every smartphone manufacturer will make similar claims, OPPO really raises the bar with its 2023 flagship. It virtually eliminates the distinction between main camera and others by employing nearly identical quality hardware on all three cameras. To be more specific, all three shooters use 50-megapixel sensors, though their exact configurations vary depending on their purpose. For example, the standard wide camera features a large 1-inch 50-megapixel Sony IMX989 sensor. With a 50-megapixel Sony IMX890 and a 110-degree field of view, the ultra-wide camera isn't far behind. Even more intriguing is the telephoto camera, which employs the same sensor but is paired with an f2.6 aperture lens, possibly the largest for a smartphone periscope shooter. With little detail loss, the telephoto camera can handle 3x optical zoom up to 6x hybrid zoom. The cameras can take very detailed images on their own and are not affected by low light conditions. They do not, however, function in isolation. There's also OPPO's in-house MariSilicon X imaging NPU, which enables the Find X6 Pro to take even better photos with high-speed autofocus, intelligent resource management, and low-light processing. OPPO also has a proud partnership with Hasselblad, which brings a distinct portrait mode look that simulates the optics expert's classic lenses to generate beautiful bokehs and portraits. There's also a Hasselblad watermark function that adds details like shutter speed, aperture, and so on to truly mark that impressive shot. Overall, the OPPO Find X6 Pro delivers on its promises, creating a balance between the three cameras so you don't have to choose one mode over the other. The transition between wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto lenses is seamless and smooth, with little loss of quality or detail. It's almost like switching between modes or lenses rather than sensors, which is what OPPO is aiming for with the camera-like experience. If you only look at the OPPO Find X6 Pro's core specifications, you might think it's just another high-end phone with a fancy design on its back, especially if it's made of vegan leather. Of course, that would be selling it short, because what OPPO brings to the table is more than just another phone, but a phone with a symmetrical design in more ways than one. The camera bump's well-balanced form and the nearly equal qualities of the three cameras make the phone well-rounded in almost every way. Unfortunately, its biggest flaw is a marketing strategy rather than an inherent flaw. At the time of recording, there has been no definitive statement on whether the Find X6 Pro will be available in global markets. The approximately $1,020 price tag for the 16GB and 512GB model becomes irrelevant because obtaining one will be difficult in the first place. Even if you did get your hands on one, the lack of official Google Play support makes it a no-go for most Android users. However, most OPPO Find X models eventually make their way to other regions, so it's not entirely certain. It's difficult to be drawn to phones with obnoxious camera bumps that draw attention to themselves by screaming in your face. To be sure, it's more difficult to create a design that balances the opposing goals of providing enough space for those cameras while remaining pleasant and minimal. Few have succeeded thus far, and OPPO may be a member of that small club. It accomplishes this by accepting the camera enclosure for what it is while also paying homage to the true cameras that came before it. The OPPO Find X6 Pro mimics the look and feel of an SLR lens in a subtle and unobtrusive manner. It makes use of a contrast of elements to achieve a visual and ergonomic balance. It also applies the theme of balance to its hardware, particularly with three cameras that are nearly identical. In an industry that thrives on sensational designs and features, the Find X6 Pro serves as a reminder to keep extravagance in check while also maintaining a well-balanced design for the user's benefit.